Greetings historians, welcome to Lore of the Dragon. So recently there was something dug up regarding a pitch, or rather bid, for a Skylanders TV show back in 2011 by someone named FablePaint on Twitter. There's a video more on the industry side of things over on Canadian Guy A's channel. This, as most of my videos are, will focus more on what we know of the story, how it might fit into Spyro now, and what the story could be based on what we have seen. Also, be sure to stick around to the end of this for a prompt. So, back in 2011, a user by the name of FablePaint posted some sketches on Twitter of Spyro and Cinder. They said that this was a pitch, or rather bid, for a Skylanders TV show back in 2011, as I said. Over the process of making these sketches, they went in, watched many of Spyro's adventures to prepare them, which led to the sketches. Now, like I said, the business side of things regarding this is covered by Canadian Guy A, so if you want that side of it, I'll link it down in the description below. But anyway, as we know, this show never came to be, and now lies as one of the many concepts for a TV show that never saw the light of day. But what if that wasn't the case? How would certain things affect the show as time went by, and how could it have changed the lore of Spyro? First off, it would seem that this story would, of course, star Spyro and somewhere along the line involve Cinder, who could have been a friend at some point, perhaps more than they were in the Skylander games. Much like Skylanders Academy in 2016, the show would most likely take place in another universe similar to that of Skylanders, but with its various differences. I believe they would do this to make sure that the games and the show could run parallel to each other, but not interfere with each other's story. Because of this, honestly, the only thing I would see this show doing to the whole Spyro lore would just be replacing Skylanders Academy. There's not enough concrete evidence to say if something would be added or something would be taken away, if something wouldn't have been so prevalent after it like Dark Spyro or Malefor. We just don't know. Due to the nature of Skylanders at the time, which most likely would have been not fully revealed, even Spyro's adventure, the show might not have followed Skylanders in the same way as Skylanders Academy, perhaps even calling back to different versions of Spyro for inspiration rather than more or less the Skylanders counterpart. The show might not have followed Skylanders in the same way as Skylanders Academy, perhaps even calling back to different versions of Spyro and different worlds of Spyro rather than Skylanders itself. Going from the sketches, that could even be the case with Spyro himself. However, FablePaint did mention that they saw the model, and I imagine from the reaction, it might not have exactly been what we saw in the sketch, and most likely would have been more resembling the Skylanders counterpart of Spyro. So it would have been rather different than what we might have seen or what we might think it might have looked like. Now, as for plot, there were a few things that were mentioned about it. Like in Skylanders Academy, it could be more than just Spyro as the main cast. Perhaps there being more or less some of the original Skylanders we see Spyro team up with. However, it was brought up that after some time showing the director Cinder, that she would be introduced like I mentioned before. To what capacity, I'm not sure. If what was in the sketches were to be followed though, I think both Spyro and Cinder could have some history together. And ideally that would be shown in the show itself. I can't really tell what she'd be like. I have a feeling they'd go with what the comics did and follow more or less a Legends approach for backstory and perhaps personality. Maybe taking a bit more inspiration from something like Dawn of the Dragon. Either way, she and Spyro might have had a connection due to some sort of past. Either through Spyro freeing her from someone like Malefor or something else. Maybe in that case, Cinder could be some sort of season finale boss. Or perhaps their story could go deeper than that. I'm not quite sure. Moving on from Cinder, I believe originally we would see a more bare bones version of what we had in Academy. At the time, things like the Archeans or the greater lore of the world wasn't quite established. The Archeans were a bit, but outside of a few hints, I believe, we didn't have too much concrete information on them, outside of, I think, a level and some scrolls. Most likely, when the stories of giants and superchargers came around, the show would perhaps add a bit more to the story. Perhaps even each season might have a bit more added to it. I think in some cases, the show might focus more on Spyro because much material would need to be inspired from adventures like Legends and the originals. maybe we could see Dragon Peak make an appearance and actually have some importance to the story. Though my wish is that we could perhaps see where Spyro came from, or at least more of a hint than we got in the games and the comics. Maybe Cinder could have come from that place and been corrupted, or have her come from Skylands and have been corrupted there. Like in Skylanders Academy and in the grander lore of Skylanders, Spyro might not know where he is from, as he forgot when he came to the Skylands. There could be an entire arc focused on that, just like in Skylanders Academy. And if the show were to be successful, we could actually see it, because they would have had time before Reignited came out, and, you know, that would be great, because then we wouldn't get that cliffhanger we got at the end of Season 3, which I'm still annoyed about. Now, most of this is just speculation based on what I've seen, what the most logical course of action that I think would happen, and honestly just wishes for what could be. As from what I've read, again, the show was going to be more focused on Skylanders rather than Spyro, at least in the expanded lore. But I believe over time, just like with the games, if the show were to be made, the community might drive those changes to make the show add a bit more to the Spyro aspects. I mean, hey, from what I heard, that's actually what happened with Cinder. So, if the show was successful and the Spyro community decided that they wanted some Spyro stuff in there, Activision might have caved then. But alas, we got Skylanders Academy, which isn't bad, I'd say. All that being said, most of what I've read seems to make this pitch for the show out to be not that great, mainly due to the director not understanding Spyro, or rather, from what I hear, a decent amount of the team. So I could be entirely wrong about all of this, and they could have gone in an entirely different direction as opposed to what I've said. What it might have looked like in retrospect if it did happen and last could be Spyro and some of his Skylander friends traveling through the Skylands. Each episode would be a mission or adventure, and every time a new game would come out, the show would update along with it, adding to the characters and arcs that it had access to. Because of that, I think that between games there would be a decent amount of filler unless they had these rather long arcs about different characters. So the show might have gone rather slowly from time to time, at least in my opinion. When it did pick up, I can't help but think that the drive to include Cinder both in the show and in Skylanders would force the hands of the leads, like I said, perhaps giving us an arc about Cinder at some point, interrupting the normal mission-to-mission flow of the show. But I can't quite tell if that mission-to-mission story would be great or not, given that it's a very broad idea. It could be good if done right, or be bad. After that, there's quite a few things that could be added, like for instance the idea of Dark Spyro. But I'm not sure if the studio that pitched the project was entirely right for making a Skylanders or Spyro show. I'd rather have people that are interested in Spyro, like Fable Paint, behind the Spyro title and anything it produces. And while it would have been cool to have it, because of the executives not quite understanding Spyro like the fans or even some people on the team, perhaps it was for the better. Anyway, if you have any ideas for a Spyro or Skylanders show, perhaps a reimagining of this show, or rather a brand new one, post it in the comments below. Just leave your story, main characters, and also keep it family friendly down there. Anyhow, that will be it for me. If you guys like this and want me to see about covering other Spyro TV shows that didn't quite see the light of day, let me know. But for now, thank you all for watching this, and if you all want to stay updated on Lore of the Dragon, be sure to check out and follow the Lore of the Dragon Twitter, or rather check out the community page here on YouTube. Or if you just want to talk to people in the community, feel free to stop by the Discord. The links will be down in the description below. Anyhow, that's going to be it. I'll see you all the next time we talk and speculate. Stay safe, historians.